been about a year since I last did a Jacob's Ladder Tesla coil video. I've done a bit of an update fairly recently. Still need to clean up the wiring here a bit. But I found out some interesting things that quite shortly after making the video, which I didn't include. Which is, well, first of all, I have an adjuster here that adjusts the gap for the Jacob's Ladder, but if I turn it on, nothing's happening here. But if I take this, any kind of neon tube, black light, whatever, even some of these where the main portion, the ballast goes bad, it'll still light these. And even see if I can slow that down. So if I bring it closer together, you don't want to touch this wire itself barehanded, because it will zap you. It might not kill you unless you got a pacemaker, but it's not fun. Now when the ladder is going, it doesn't light as well, because all the power is going here. Now I could get a bigger transformer, make a bigger Jacob's Ladder, but then it would be just downright dangerous. This thing somebody could bump into and they'll get a zap, but as long as they don't have a pacemaker, it's not going to kill them. It's a bit like being touched by a spark plug. It's going. High voltage, low current. Now I have thought about getting some capacitors, high voltage capacitors, to put after the mini Tesla coil. And I've seen some videos on YouTube where they've gotten a larger gap on the voltage, but I'm going to need much higher voltage capacitors. Right now the largest capacitors I've got are 2000 volts out of their microwave capacitors, and I need something that's closer to 6,000 or 7,000 volts, because I don't want to be putting, supposedly this thing puts out around 5,000 to 6,000 volts, and I don't want to be putting higher voltage in than the capacitors can take, because they'll probably they might explode, and nobody wants that. The tube there is an electrical cigarette tube I had. It's much nicer than a soda bottle. And I put a piece of plexi down there. I had scrap. And since I made the last video, I made the wires at the base much further apart to help prevent arcing. and with that adjustment I can get it going like this pretty good. I could get it going higher if I were to turn it off first. Trying to get this adjusted. Okay, take this off. Now if I take this, obviously it powers off. Move that out and bend this a little straighter so it's closer together all the way up. It's just copper conduit wire. These things do get relatively warm. I mean, I'm not burning my fingers, but if I were to leave this running for a while, they might get too hot to touch. I still need to do a little bit of cleanup on this. Take the paper off of here and all that. But thinking about putting some kind of plastic off, attaching a piece of plastic off this wire so I can adjust it without needing something, so I have something permanently attached to it for adjustment purposes. Okay, I didn't get the wires close enough there. Bowed about right there, so and as I've said in the previous video, the actual temperature is what makes the electricity flow upward. The heat, as hot air rises, well, it creates hot air as it arcs, and that hot air, that ionized air, is more conductive than the surrounding air, so the arc follows the ionized hot air up. See, now it goes further up. Still needs a little tweaking. The only problem with getting them too close together up top is it wants to stay and just hover. And do that where it bounces up and down. Or stay at the bottom down there if it's too close together. Too close together down there, starts below where you want. You don't want it starting below a certain point. As it goes together like this, it sometimes starts below that hourglass shape. You don't want the bottom of the hourglass shape starting, because it'll stay at that bottom area. And go up. Even with the hot air, it's still, because it's the lowest point of resistance. It's always going to want to be at the lowest point of resistance. and it does create ozone. The ionized air is creating ozone, so it's not something you want to breathe in a lot of. I'm doing this outside for a reason. Also UV as a byproduct.